You want to know what's really sad? In a 2017 survey, 78% of American workers reported living paycheck to paycheck. Or what about how 22% of adults aged 25 and older have less than $5,000 in savings? And 46% of adults say that they don't even know how much they have saved for retirement. I don't know how much I'm putting away so that I'll be financially secure in the future when I am no longer able to support myself. Who knows? Could be $2. If you don't know how much you've put away, it's probably not a large amount. Americans just aren't handling their money properly in any regard. But how could that be? How do so many people not have enough financial knowledge to properly handle their money? You could blame the system and say I was never taught this in school, so I don't pay attention to it. You know, I've heard this many times, and sure, I will agree with you that our schooling does not properly teach anyone how to manage their finances, but there are so many resources out there, like this video, that will teach you the basics and will push you miles ahead of others. So with that, I encourage you to watch this entire video and take some notes to ways in which you can improve your money habits. Today I'm going to be going over investing, conscious spending, credit cards, and banking. There will be chapters down below so you can skip around to whichever chapter that you'd please. Alright, enough talk, let's get into it. Part 1, investing. As Albert Einstein said, compounding is mankind's single greatest invention because it allows for the reliable, systematic accumulation of wealth. Don't trust Einstein? Well, look at this survey of millionaires by the US Trust. It showed that 83% of the wealthy claim that their largest investment gains actually came from smaller wins over a long period of time rather than taking big risks, which means that they grew their wealth from consistent investing rather than trying to catch some penny stock on the rise or trying to win the lottery or whatever else that, you know, everybody else seems to think that they're going to get rich from. Now, I put investing first because out of all these topics, compounding growth through investing is the single most important aspect to growing your wealth. If when people talk about investing, you say one of the following, why do I need to invest? 2, I don't earn enough. 3, I'm scared of losing money. Or 4, I don't know how to pick stocks, it's too complicated and confusing. Well, sorry to tell you, but you are misled. For number 1, let's say that you put $50 down at the end of the month to a savings account and $50 down to an investment account. The average savings account interest is 0.05%, so after 20 years you've grown your money to $12,059. Not too bad, but how much would you have made in the investment account? Well, you would have made around $35,912. So that $12,000 ain't looking so good anymore. So when you ask, why do I need to invest? It's an easy way to grow your money. Number 2, anybody can put down small consistent payments and it'll make a huge difference over the long run. Remember, we're compounding over long periods of time and that's where the wealth grows. Number 3, well, you won't. Just don't get into day trading and you'll make a profit as long as you're doing this long-term investing like we're talking about. And number 4, investing is not about picking stocks. You can pick your own stocks, but if you don't want to, just invest in an ETF. One like Vanguard's S&P 500 ETF, which is ticker symbol VOO. Now this gives you an average of 10% per year, which is phenomenal. So all you have to do is type in VOO and click buy. And what about the steps to investing? It's all so complicated, right? No, it turns out to be really simple. You use the ladder of personal finance. Number 1, if your employer offers a 401k match, contribute just enough to get 100% of the match. And you don't pick stocks here, they do it for you. And what a match is whatever money you put in, your employer will match that money. It's free money. Number 2, pay off your credit card and any other debt. The average credit card APR is 14% and many APRs are higher. So if you are paying 14% and you're losing that much money, well, it doesn't matter how much you're investing, you're still losing money. So you gotta get rid of that credit card debt. Number 3, open up a Roth IRA and contribute as much money to it as possible. The limit in 2020 is $6,000, so $6,000 or less, whatever you can afford to put in. And you might be asking, well, how do I open up a Roth? Well, you can open up a Roth with an online broker. I use Charles Schwab, but Vanguard and Fidelity are also pretty good, and just research whatever broker you'd like and open it up with them. And when you research them, just look at minimums and their features. Number 4, if you still have money left over from your Roth, well, you go back to your 401k and you contribute as much as possible to it, this time above and beyond your employer match. So no more free money, but it's still good. And if you still have money left over for number 5, well, you open up a regular non-retirement investment account and put as much as possible in there. Again, if you don't want to pick stocks, simply use a market average ETF. And to open up that, you can use the same brokers that I mentioned earlier, Charles Schwab, Vanguard, or Fidelity. They all offer investing accounts. If you don't have an employer, well, then you just take out that 401k stuff because you cannot open up 401ks on your own. So that simplifies it to 3 steps. Now you open up the Roth, and then number 2, you pay off your credit card debt. And then number 3, you open up an investment account, a non-taxable investment account where you put as much as you want. Okay, so now hopefully you know how to invest. If you're confused about anything, just comment and we can explain it for you, or I can explain it for you. I don't know why I said we, it's just me here. But now let's move to the next step. How do you know how much you should be investing? Well, that's where conscious spending comes in. Now most people just put their head in the sand and let their expenses rise way too high, and then they never get ahead in life because they never have enough money to invest. They realize that there's a problem and they try to cut their spending drastically by lowering the amount that they spend on everything, but it never works because this is too drastic of a change and they boomerang back around to spending too much. So this is why we develop a conscious spending plan. You separate the money that you earn into categories. The category breakdown should look something like this. You got your fixed costs like rent and utilities, and that accounts for 50 to 60% of your income. Investments like that 401k in your Roth account for 10 to 15%. Savings like vacation goals, gifts, and emergency funds account for 5 to 10%. And guilt-free spending, things like dining out or movies or clothes or whatever you'd like, is 20 to 35%. Of course, you add or subtract percentages in certain areas, but staying somewhere around this plan will ensure that you are growing your wealth properly. And again, be realistic and slowly work towards a plan like this. If you are nowhere near this breakdown, slowly move towards it from week to week. Don't just all of a sudden shift it, wait to this breakdown. It's never going to work. You're going to get tired. You're not going to be able to maintain it. And it's just going to go away and you're going to go back to being sheltered from growing your wealth. I speak so beautifully sometimes. Bonus, if you're a salaried worker, you can actually automate this process to where your paycheck distributes itself to your checking account, your savings account, and your investment accounts. So I highly suggest you look into that. So, clear actionable steps for conscious spending. Number 1, get your paycheck and determine what you've been spending your money on. Figure out what your spending plan should instead look like. Number 2, optimize your spending. Break your spending into the monthly chunks and see where you can cut back. Number 3, pick your big wins. What 1 or 2 big wins will you target for cutting back spending? Most of the time, all of our expenses dwindle down to only a few big players. Number 4, maintain your conscious spending plan. Tweak percentages that you send to each part of your spending plan and make sure that the system is realistic enough that you will stick with it. Alright, part 3 is credit cards. Third way you're missing out on growing your wealth is with credit cards. Credit cards give you thousands of dollars of perks with no downsides. Now, many would argue that the downside is the fact that you can develop debt and end up getting charged very high rates, but that shouldn't be the case. There are easy ways to ensure that you don't do that. Just log in to your credit card company and set up the system to automatically withdraw the payment in full. Now, if you haven't picked out a credit card yet because you don't know how to, it seems too complicated, well, it doesn't have to be too complicated. Research a good cashback card and research a good travel card, and then you move on. If you're booking travel or eating out, you use your travel card to maximize the rewards, but for everything else, you use your cashback card. Now, for using credit cards, you can follow the 6 commandments of credit cards. Commandment 1, pay off your credit card regularly. Debt payment history makes up 35% of your credit score, and it's not easy to recover from that, so you set up those automatic payments and you pay on time every month. Commandment 2, you try to get your fees on your cars waived. If your card has an annual fee, you call and ask to get it waived. Sometimes it's as simple as that. Doesn't work always, but it can work. Commandment 3, negotiate a lower APR. If you already have debt and you're trying to pay it off, well, sometimes you can just call and ask for a lower APR. You can say, I know a number of credit card companies offering better rates. Now this works half the time, so don't give it too much hope, but it is possible. Commandment 4, keep your main cards for a long time and keep them active. Commandment 5 is you request credit increases every so often from your company. You call and ask, and when they say why, you respond and say you've been paying in full for the past 18 months, and you have some upcoming purchases that you'd like a credit limit increase up to $10,000 or whatever you'd like it to increase to. Basically, you do that because it's better for your credit score to keep your utilization rate low. Commandment 6, use your credit card's secret perks. If your credit is good, you can call and ask for waived fees and special offers. Credit card companies offer automatic warranty doubling. If you rent a car, don't ever get the collision insurance. Your credit card backs you up to $50,000. Credit card companies will cover travel cancellation fees between $3,000 and $10,000 per trip. Credit card companies can work like a concierge service, finding tickets to things when nobody else can. And credit cards automatically track all your spending so you can use that to remain efficient. Some actionable steps for credit cards. Number 1, get your credit score and report. Number 2, set up your credit card. Number 3, make sure you're handling your cards correctly by automating those full payments. And number 4, if you already have debt, start aggressively paying it off. And finally, banking. Banks I'm going to keep simple and straightforward. Basically, I recommend switching to a reliable online bank because banks like Wells Fargo and BofA and Chase are pretty trash. They charge overdraft fees, they charge monthly fees, and they are constantly caught doing shady stuff to their customers. But if you have been with them for a long time and you haven't had any problems and you really just don't want to move, then fine, you can stay. But what I really recommend, even more so than switching your checking account, is to just switch your savings account to an online one. And this way you can get slightly higher interest rates, but also you can use psychology to keep your savings growing. If you cannot see your savings account balance all the time, and you cannot instantly transfer money from your savings to your checking account, well, you are less likely to remove the money from it. Just think about it. You're at a bar, you're with your buddies, and you've run out of that money that you have allocated for your guilt-free spending. You don't have any more of it in your checking account. Well, if you're at the same bank, your savings and your checking is at the same bank, well, you can just instantly transfer over the money you've seeped into your savings account, which of course is not great. But if the savings account is at a whole different organization and it will take 3 days to get to you, well, you don't even have the option to transfer it in instantly. You're SOL. So it might be a little annoying in the moment because you can't get your BIA, but it's better for you in the long run because you have not bled into your savings account and you are being financially responsible. The best online savings account are Capital One 360 Savings, Ally Online Savings, and Marcus by Goldman Sachs. Some actionable steps for banks. Number 1, open up a better checking account or assess the one that you currently have. Number 2, open up a high online interest savings account. And number 3, fund that savings account. That is all I have for you today. Again, this was just the basics of some finance material. If you want to learn more, this is taken for the most part from a book called I Will Teach You How to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. I strongly encourage you to check out this book. He expands on everything that I've talked about today, and he offers even more advice on managing your money. As always, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, remember to hit that like button. It helps me out a ton. And if you are confused by anything, like I said, throw me a comment down below and I can answer it to the best of my ability or give you some resources that could help you understand it. Alright, see you later. See you in the next video.